Good morning. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez as we get ready to go to the White House for a press briefing. This is probably at this point a dozen press briefings in about 72 days of President Trump being in office for the second administration. And each of these press briefings are must-watch TV, must-watch streaming, because the job that Karoline Leavitt is doing is awesome for the country. Someone that is a person that is on the right side of history, and it's great to hear what she has to say at the beginning of the press conferences. And then it's also great to see how she handles some of the fake news questions that come her way. But today it'll be interesting as well, because will she make an announcement about the seating chart within the White House press briefing room, if it's going to be changed around a bit? Because the White House Correspondents Association, the WHCA, which is led by very leftist journalists, are so-called in control of who sits where and all of that. Well, those days are over, because we, the people, want people that stand for freedom and stand for our country and stand for truth and transparency and common sense. And so that's why we've seen Karoline Leavitt and the White House talk about the new media and conservative media that is now having a part to play in that press briefing room. Even though it's about 9 out of 10 of the people that are in the press briefing room are of the fake news, there are a few conservatives in there, but it's still great to see that. And still, you have to work professionally together as it's still colleagues of the press. But outside of that, when it comes to the content and what kinds of questions are asked of Karoline Leavitt, well, now what we're going to see, possibly according to Axios, I don't always go with what Axios says, but this one might be a true story when it comes to the scoop that they have that that Karoline Leavitt will make an announcement. Not sure if it's going to happen today or sometime, but still, at the end of the day, a seating chart change-up. Be quite interesting to see if that happens there at the White House. All right, so it's 11:03 a.m. Thanks again for streaming in with us here. There's a few more program announcements that I'll make in just a minute, but let's go now live to Julie Harris of the National Federation of Republican Women, joining us right now live. And guys, once I can see her on, I know she's on here, but I need to see her on the other program inside the studio so I can talk to her. Now, obviously, Julie, we know that the voters are heading to the polls today in Wisconsin and Florida. And I believe you're in Florida right now. Is that right?
I am. I'm in the Daytona Beach area.
Awesome. Can you talk to us about some of the situations there in Florida as people go to the polls?
Well, one thing I've been a little surprised about is the voters who still do not realize there's an election today. When I landed a few nights ago on my way to the hotel, even the taxi driver didn't realize. She had been a Trump voter, but she didn't realize there was an election. And so this will be about who can get out their voters. And so I'm here to support what the Republican women here in Florida, the Florida Federation of Republican Women, have already been doing. They've been going door to door. They've made thousands of calls. Actually, our women from across the country have called in to Florida to help get the vote out, and into Wisconsin. There's a vote in Wisconsin today as well. So I came in just to support their efforts. I'll be going to polling places. I'm here in the congressional 6th congressional district. I'll be holding up signs, going into coffee shops, trying to rally the voters to get out and vote.
Exactly, and it's always good. We have that power of voting here and our voice, and it's great to see people like yourself out there assisting with that process. Let's go 30,000-foot view right now. It's been 70 plus days that President Trump's been in office. What are your thoughts about what's going on in Washington right now?
Well, I think that it's optimistic. I'm in D.C. most of the time as president of the National Federation of Republican Women, and I can tell you that there's a lot of optimism. The American voters are willing to be patient with the administration. They've seen tremendous change already. These executive orders that President Trump has been rapidly rolling out that benefit Americans. That's really what's at the heart of this election for the Republican women today, is that these outcome of today's election here in Florida could be a deciding vote on how we codify these presidential executive orders that we've seen come out. Because if we do not turn these into lasting legislation, all the benefit of these executive orders could go away with the next president, as we've seen happen when Biden was elected and he undid presidential executive orders that protected our border.
What is it like to see a group like yourself, the National Federation of Republican Women, as you are the president, out of Arkansas, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. And so when you see your group and other conservative groups that are just popping up everywhere, it's awesome to see that, isn't it?
It is fantastic. Now, the National Federation of Republican Women, we're celebrating 87 years today. So I'll tell you, we are the longest running, won't say oldest, but longest running, most successful, all women's, we know what a woman is, all women's grassroots organization in the country. We are thrilled to see all of the wonderful conservative organizations coming up. We work and try to collaborate with them as much as possible. It is cool to be a conservative today. That is a good thing.
It is. And it seems as if a lot of the younger generation, we're looking at Gen Z and that kind of thing. The other day, Charlie Kirk with tvOS held an event at the University of Tennessee. And I saw a photo from the Knox News in Knoxville. And it showed a huge photo of just so many people at this event. And that's on a college campus. I mean, this is a revolution of sorts, but a positive, peaceful revolution. But it's just great to see the numbers are just increasing, aren't they?
That's right. I attribute some of this to the fact that mainstream media doesn't control the narrative completely anymore. News organizations such as Right Side Broadcasting, Newsmax, and others who have taken the news into the palm of the hand for these young people, they can make up their own mind now. It's not Hollywood telling them how to think. It's not CNN or NBC, CBS, Disney that are telling our young people how to think, but they have alternate viewpoints and they can decide for themselves. So that is one positive way that technology has helped us. I know with the younger generation, sometimes you'll see pushback on technology and some of the damage and the dangers from technology, but this is one way that has been a positive change.
It is so true. And to your point, isn't it awesome, even not only for the younger generations, but for everybody, just to know that there are alternate options that are actually better than the mainstream media out there, because this is based in common sense reporting now.
Absolutely. And I'm a mother of 5 adult children that are raising their own family, and none of my adult children even have cable. They live stream whatever they want straight to their phones and onto their TV. So they're getting their news from these more conservative news outlets, these not mainstream, if you will, media, legacy media. I think it's a wonderful thing.
Speaking of some of the mainstream, today, of course, Karoline Leavitt will be having a White House press briefing within the hour. And we're seeing reports that she may be switching up the seating chart inside the White House press briefing room. Now, the White House has not confirmed this yet. This is a report that we saw in Axios. However, if that's true and you're seeing, how CBS, NBC, ABC, CNN, Fox, all of AP, all of them, right? That they may be sitting in the third row or in the back row and just mixing it all up there as we have new media, conservative media, which, as you know, are the majority of America is more on the side of the conservative and new media than they are on the mainstream, right?
Right. That's right. I think it's wonderful. I love Karoline Leavitt. I would say there's a new sheriff in town, and Karoline Leavitt, where the media is concerned. I think, to your point, the way that they're mixing it up, America lost confidence in the mainstream media. They have fake news. Even though that was Trump who came up with that, coined that phrase, Americans knew it for a long time. We just didn't have the guts to say it. President Trump says out loud what many Americans think and just don't have the courage to say it out loud. And so to know that the mainstream media has not been reporting truth, they have done a disservice to media, something that Americans used to believe in. It used to be where they would find out what was happening around the world. So I like what Karoline Leavitt's doing. I hope she does shake it up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're watching here. And who knows, today she may make that announcement. We'll see. We'll have to watch together. And also, to your point, prior to President Trump and him calling out fake news, which was a huge reason why we have a lot of conservative media and podcasts now. But, you know, here at Right Side, of course, 2015, right when he was starting out, President Trump, we just wanted to cover what was actually happening. We wanted to show the crowd. And we know that crowd size is a very big factor, especially when you're running for office, because if you show, you know, 3 people in a corner with a sign, and then you show 3,000 people, you want to know, why are those 3,000 people out there? And you really, you know, there's a whole messaging thing. But prior to that, your thoughts about, I was talking about Rush Limbaugh the other day, but Rush Limbaugh, the creator of conservative media, how awesome was he?
Well, he was fantastic. You know, I love Rush Limbaugh, and I think that he really opened the door for what we're experiencing today with conservative media.
Yeah, it's great to see it. Now, talk about the Federation a little bit. What's next for your group? And also, I know you guys have that lilac dinner or lilac lunch as well. What's going on here in the springtime and the summer moving forward?
Well, the Lilac Lunch is New Hampshire, our New Hampshire Federation of Republican Women. The National Federation of Republican Women are made up of our 50 states and some of our territories. And so the Lilac Lunch you were speaking about is a wonderful event hosted by our New Hampshire Republican Women. As far as for the national movement, we are about electing Republicans in the off years when there's not an election. It's about education, training, and motivating our women getting ready for the next election. This year specifically, we have a mission to help codify into legislation, real lasting legislation, the executive orders that we see coming from President Trump, especially where our border is concerned. The NFRW in the 2024, our main issues were securing the border and strengthening our economy. The Democrats tried to put all women into one issue. It was one issue that was going to decide the vote for women. Well, we knew differently because we were on the doorsteps and we were making the phone calls. We knew that they cared about kitchen table issues that impact their families every day, security and affordability. And we are remaining focused on codifying the executive orders that we have seen come through the White House.
If you're just joining us right now here on RSBN Live, of course, it's 11/14, Tuesday, April 1st. This is Julie Harris with the National Federation of Republican Women, the president there. In Florida right now, as we know, today is a day of voting in Florida and in Wisconsin. We can go over that in just a second, but I wanted to ask you, Julie, you're talking about those executive orders. What is it like for you personally to watch and see President Trump sign an executive order like no men and women's sports or anything that he's been signing? What is it really like for you on the personal level?
Well, like I said, I'm a mother of 5 adult children, 11 grandchildren. So to see President Trump sign things into law, at least for these 4 years that he is president, no women in sports and recognizing only 2 genders, male and female, it's been great. I know that it's a safer world for my grandchildren and for my family. It seems it's hard. I'll say it this way. It's hard to have a serious conversation about some of these things. I can't believe that we're at this place in America. Common sense. I love that President Trump has said common sense has become the common theme again. And he's right. I mean, it's unreal that we're talking about things having to be passed into legislation, signed into law, such as no men in women's sports.
Yeah, and you were talking about mainstream media earlier. Why don't we dissect a little bit, analyze a little bit on some things with that? So do you think that there's a small percentage of people that are actually that radical, that are so anti, females and wanting males in female sports. I mean, do you think there's a very small percentage of people, even Democrats, everyday citizens across our country, that are that radical, and that the mainstream media and some of the leadership in the Democrat Party has really made a big megaphone and spoken that it's this big, huge issue, but really it's a very small percentage of people that are actually on that radical side? Do you agree?
100%. It's about, I think the latest poll I saw was 80% of Americans support women only in women's sports. This is not an issue that Americans support coming from the radical left. Now, I'm surprised that they haven't done a course correction. I'm okay that they haven't. Let them keep doing what they're doing. That just helps us in this election, especially, and in the midterm. But you're correct. This is not where the majority of Americans are today.
Exactly, and that's why we saw what we saw on November 5th of last year, the majority of the country voting for the right side of history with President Trump. Before I let you go, Julie, thanks again for spending the time with us. Can you talk to us again about what you're doing in Florida right now and also the election going on in Wisconsin?
Yeah, so today I'm going to polling places holding a sign for Randy Fine because I'm in the 6th Congressional District here in Florida. This is supporting the work that has already been done, the thousands of doors knocked, the thousands of phone calls made. We have Republican women in Florida's 1st Congressional District as well, and we have Republican women in Wisconsin getting out the vote, trying to stop activist judges on the Supreme Court by helping the conservative get elected in Wisconsin.
Thank you so much, Julie, for what you're doing and what your organization is doing. Julie Harris with the National Federation of Republican Women, the president there. Thank you so much again. Have a great day there in the Sunshine State.
Thank you.
All right, so 11/18, Tuesday, April 1st. Some great insight there when it comes to mainstream media and people just not obviously buying into the lies of the left any longer. And a big thanks, of course, to President Trump just calling out the fake news several years ago. But now what do we do with the attention that conservative media is getting? What we're getting is we take that ball and run with it. We say, hey, you know what? Thank you that mainstream media is on its way out and conservative media on its way in, because it's all about reporting on what's actually happening and within a perspective or a framework that is like-minded to the majority of the country. And that's what you get here at Right Side. That's what you get in conservative media. And it's awesome to be able to speak in this way, to be honest with you, as I worked in mainstream media for years in local news all across the country. And I wasn't able to ever speak about my faith or speak about Trump. And if I did, they'd be like, wait, you're in the media. You're supposed to be this certain person. No thanks. I'm free. It's great to be free. And that goes for, Robert McNeely, of course. He worked in mainstream as well. But the point is, and Christina Loren. Some people that have worked in mainstream media here at the network we're now using our gifts, and talents for the American people, for we the people. So we're all in this together. It's great to report news every day with you guys, and it's great that you're watching here with us live as we get ready to see Karoline Leavitt at the top of the hour from the White House press briefing room. Let's go to a number of sponsors here at Right Side. Without the sponsors and without your donations, we couldn't cover all that we see here. To be honest with you, it's not free to get a live feed to the White House and to cover all that we cover every day. So any donations would be greatly appreciated. All you have to do is text RSBN to 801-801. If you like what you see here, you don't have to pay to watch Right Side, right? You don't have to get some sort of, the only thing you have to really pay for is having Wi-Fi or maybe a cell signal, which everybody has one, right? So, but if you'd like to help out a little bit, just text RSBN to 801-801. And also our sponsors. Without our great sponsors, these are America First Patriots that are part of this network. We partner with great sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So again, RSBN to 801-801 as we continue to move away from the mainstream media mold and create a new mold of simple stuff. Let's be real. Common sense here on the network. All right, let's go to one of our sponsors. Speaking of sponsors, let's go to Kalshi right now. Let's look at the numbers on Kalshi right now for the Wisconsin Supreme Court election. It says, Susan Crawford in the lead there, but Brad Schimmel is the Republican. So that's on Kalshi.com. Just go to Kalshi.com/RSBN for more information. There's so many questions that you can trade and bet on. Legal to do right there on Kalshi.com. So Kalshi.com/RSBN. Who will win the Wisconsin Supreme Court seat? You can see some people voting there. Again, there's so many questions, and you can actually create one of your own questions as well. It's kind of a fun, interactive way to do things when it comes to trading and betting on Kalshi.com. All right, 11/21, Tuesday, April 1st. Looking forward to today's press briefing with Karoline Leavitt. Also, we saw earlier today a GOP leadership press conference that was at 10:30. A little bit later after this press conference, First Lady Melania Trump will be speaking at the State Department. We're told that she's going to be speaking there, delivering remarks at the 19th International Women of Courage Awards ceremony. So we'll bring you that coverage as well as we get it. And at 3 o'clock today, President Trump to sign more executive orders from the White House. So a lot on tap today, but this is one day before Liberation Day in America, where President Trump will be speaking about Liberation Day tomorrow from the White House Rose Garden. So we'll have wall-to-wall coverage of his speech and what the details are of the speech when it comes to reciprocal trade and tariffs and really evening everything out between us and other countries when it comes to the taxes or tariffs, right, on imports, exports, and that kind of thing. So we'll see that live coverage from the president tomorrow at the White House Rose Garden. Be the first White House Rose Garden speech in the second administration as the weather warms up there in Washington, D.C. Of course, in some areas right now throughout the South, already reached the 70s and 80s, and maybe high 80s in some spots around the South. But let me take a look real quick at Washington, D.C.'s weather right now. It is a balmy 49 degrees in Washington with a high of 57 today. Tomorrow, high of 62, and on Thursday, a high of 79 degrees in Washington on Thursday. So the weather fluctuates a little bit later next week with a high of 48. So anyway, we'll see that speech there from the Rose Garden tomorrow right here on Right Side. All right, so we know that the press briefing is going to be in about 37 minutes or so. We are bringing you live coverage right now, of course, as there is a clip that we have from just about an hour ago from the House Judiciary Joint Subcommittee hearing titled Judicial Overreach and Constitutional Limits on the Federal Courts. So what we have is a clip from Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan. We'll get that as soon as I hear that it's ready. We'll go to it. And it's always good to hear from Jim Jordan when he says stuff like this. Take a listen.
People, there's nothing stopping him from denying the rights of all people all across America. And that should concern everyone in this room and everyone across this nation. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. We now recognize the chairman of the full committee for his opening statement, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Who decides? That's the fundamental question. Who gets to make the call? Is it the guy whose name was on the ballot, or is it some bureaucrat? Is it the guy who got 77 million votes, or some district judge? The left always says, trust the bureaucrat, trust the judge. It's the Faucis, it's the Boasbergs who get to make the call. After all, they're the experts. They're smarter than we the people. They're smarter than all us hillbillies in flyover country who voted for President Trump. Trust them. That's not how it works. We the people have the power. You know what's interesting? For all the left's talk about democracy, they don't really trust it. Last summer, they kicked their nominee off the ballot without a vote, without an election, and they put someone else on the ballot without a vote, without an election. So of course they like some judge issuing orders or injunctions that stop the head of the executive branch from doing what he said he was going to do when he ran for the job and when the American people elected him. Think about it. Here in D.C., an elected judge thinks she's better equipped to determine military readiness than the commander-in-chief. An unelected judge in California thinks he gets to decide how many probationary employees work in the executive branch, not the guy who was elected to run the executive branch. Another unelected federal district judge here in D.C. thinks he gets to decide how long illegal gang member terrorists stay in our country, not the president, not the commander-in-chief. And now that same judge gets randomly assigned the Hegseth case, and he'll get to determine who the Secretary of Defense can talk to and how he has to do it, not the president. I think Americans see through this all. They know Representative Iss's legislation is exactly what's needed. They know who they elected, and they want him to make decisions that affect the executive branch, that affect our country. So I want to thank our chairman, Mr. Issa and Mr. Roy, for this hearing. I want to thank Mr. Issa for his bill. Mr. Schmidt, a member of our committee, who we put an amendment, his amendment on that bill, which I think makes it even stronger. We passed that legislation 4 weeks ago. It's going to be on the floor tomorrow. It's going to pass the House. I want to thank our witnesses for being here. Ms. Romero, what you've went through, thank you for coming. And of course, Speaker Gingrich, for your half a century of service to the Constitution and the country, thank you for joining us. That is the question, though. Who decides? The individuals that we, the people, elect, or someone else? I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. We now recognize the ranking member of the full committee, the gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Russ.
All right, that from the pool feed earlier today, 11:27.
Thank you very much,
the
Mr.
bottom
Chair.
of the hour there. That was, of course, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan laying down the facts there. We, the people, have the power. We're the ones that vote. And also, on top of that, it's great that people like President Trump and others are reflecting what we want because they are we the people as well. They're not some leftist radical that's trying to destroy our country, which is the way it would have went under another administration. So glad that our country is being saved every day, getting better, stronger, more powerful, but also freer and healthier and wealthier and safer and all the good stuff, right? So we're glad to see that process happening. President Trump just about 4 minutes ago saying, quote, my telephone call with President el-Sisi of Egypt went very well. We discussed numerous topics, among which was the tremendous military progress we have made against the ship destroying Houthis in Yemen. Also discussed was Gaza and possible solutions, military preparedness, etc. So that from the president just 4 minutes ago. Also from the president earlier today, let's look at a bar graph that he posted about the southern border. Look at the numbers there, if you can see from on your screen, that there were 7,000 that were trying to cross the border last month. Compare that to 56,000 at the end of Biden's administration in 1 month. So that 1 month comparison of October of 2024, around 56,000. And then just last month, about 7,000 under President Trump. And you've seen that slope go down as the numbers decrease. It's great to see that here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. So it's the bottom of the hour. Let's thank Angel Paste, angelpaste.com. Use that RSBN promo code for more information and a discount from the Angel Paste product there, the Miracle Cream. Also other products you can check out. All you have to do is go to angelpaste.com out of Spring, Texas. Great company right there. So let's go to Tax Network USA as well. 800-357-1415. Just give them a call. Today would be a great day. If you are dealing with any back taxes at all and you've been just kind of holding off over the years, maybe today just give them a call and just say, hey, so I have a few back taxes and I'd like to organize this, take care of this. Can you help me? And that's exactly what they're there for. So 800-357-1415, tnusa.com/RSBN is the phone number. All right, so bottom of the hour, 11:30, approaching that on Tuesday, April 1st. We see that in just about 30 minutes from now, we'll be going to the press conference there at the White House. We're live right here on RSBN Live. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed, so join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hello, this is Mike Huckabee. President Trump said he wants to take back the White House and teach our kids to love our country. That's why my team created the Kids Guide to President Trump. It'll teach your kids all about President Trump's accomplishments and his vision for America. And right now, I want to give it to you for free as part of this free gift bundle.
Get your free gift bundle featuring The Kids Guide to President Trump, a free kids magazine, and the Great Again video lesson by visiting freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
All right, so it's 11:32 here on Tuesday, April 1st. Looking forward to the White House press briefing. And just into the RSBN newsroom, we know that tomorrow at the Rose Garden, there will be a speech by President Trump all about making America wealthy again. Tomorrow is Liberation Day, and Robert McNeely will be in studio for that coverage. Quite awesome to see what President Trump will say tomorrow. So we're looking at just slightly north of 24 hours from now, we'll be seeing this great speech. So you can tune in right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm sure we'll be starting well earlier before that 4 o'clock time as we continue to bring you live interviews, live coverage, live events, and including Make America Wealthy Again announcement just from the White House moments ago. Also doing some emails here and there, checking some emails while the commercial was on. And it looks like I'm working on trying to get some information from the Department of Interior and the National Park Service on the following story. President Trump, his face on Mount Rushmore. A lot of people want that to be done. I think it would be a great idea for all that President Trump has done for this country, even to this point. It would be great to see his face on Mount Rushmore. And as Mr. Doug Burgum, the Secretary of Interior, said recently, there is room on Mount Rushmore for President Trump. You can see that just to the right of Abraham Lincoln's face. There's a beautiful spot that President Trump's face should be, in many opinions across this country. So go ahead on the chat right now for fun on Rumble or wherever you're watching, YouTube, X, Facebook, Truth Social, wherever you're watching, and just say yes or no. Yes, you want President Trump's face on Mount Rushmore, and no if you don't want it on there. And I can guarantee that probably 80 to 90% of the people watching will say yes. So it'd be cool to see that. Have an interview request in. Who knows? You never know. We'll get somebody to talk to us from the National Park Service or the Department of the Interior just to talk to us about that possibility. Again, Doug Burgum just the other day saying it on national TV. And then also on my Truth Social, I said it maybe a week and a half ago. It just said there is room for the 47th president on the Mount Rushmore there. And a picture that I posted was from 1938. The picture, I took a picture of a picture of from 1938, and it still showed the crews working on the 4 presidents' faces on there. The faces were pretty much formed. And I used that photo, and that photo was in Rapid City, South Dakota from 2023 when I was on a rally trip there for President Trump out there in Rapid City, and it was great to be in South Dakota. That was my first trip there. And on top of that, my first time seeing the Mount Rushmore in person. And it was at night, the night before the rally. It was quite awesome. I was there with a colleague at the time, and we saw Mount Rushmore at night right before it closed. And it was awesome. You saw all the state flags line up, and then at the end of it was the Mount Rushmore, just a beautiful monument with lights just beaming on it. And then I think it was at 10, maybe 10 o'clock Mountain Time or whatever time that it closed. I wanted to stay there just to see what that was like, and they shut off the lights. It was just an awesome, awesome moment. The point to all of that is what a great rally that was back in September of 23 with President Trump, but also the fact that we've seen what he's done for this country and for the free world. You know, just because the mainstream media and, you know, others aren't saying great things about him doesn't mean that he's not great. They're just liars. And we are not liars here in the network. We're just saying, hey, this is what we think. You know, put his face up on Mount Rushmore. We respect the president and also know that he is a legendary leader for the free world and for our country. He stands for the common sense folks. I'm common sense. I like common sense. I want to be safe. I want to be healthier, richer, all that, wealthier. Like tomorrow is a Make America Wealthy Again event that President Trump's going to have at 4 o'clock from the Rose Garden. So it's common sense to want to have safety and want to have our freedoms intact, to want to have our constitutional rights intact. So that's what we're into. And a lot of us are into that here in this country, as you guys know. And those of you watching around the world, I know that a number of people watch around the world as well. Now, I'm not saying a huge number, but we've seen when we've listened in the chats or saw the chats before that there are several countries of people that watch. And then they are also part of that free world. We're all part of that, the people of the free world. So pretty awesome to have all of that camaraderie and connection here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, as it's 11:38 Eastern on my laptop, and right there, just turning 11:38 on the screen there. So we're about 22 minutes from this press conference, and I was thinking earlier this morning that, well, today's April 1st, it is April Fool's Day, and there is a press conference today. That's interesting, just because there have been a lot of foolish reports that have happened from the mainstream press as we take a live look there into the press briefing room. Who knows if it's an indirect troll thing happening there from the White House to the press or not. I think it's kind of cool. But if there's no connection, it is what it is, because at the end of the day, we know what we hear from the White House is truth and transparency, and then a majority of the room there, unfortunately, not speaking truth. But we do know there is new media and conservative media there. And we're really, you know, it's called telling it like it is, right? It's calling a spade a spade. And I think that's what most of you that are watching right now, you just have grown accustomed to hearing that from President Trump. He set the bar so high for just telling it like it is, because that's how we talk. We all, you know, you want to talk, as they call it, real talk. You want to be authentic and genuine, and you just kind of communicate, right? That's how we do it. We don't want to hear weakness and confusion and all these empty words and empty promises out there and all that, and these false narratives. We want to hear what's really happening and what's really common sense. And so that's, you know, what we do here at the network. But also, and you'll hear that. I mean, wait till you hear Robert McNeely later today if we have another broadcast. But definitely tomorrow, he'll be covering the Make America Wealthy Again from the Rose Garden. Or if you listen to Christina Loren or Ashley Brasfield here at the network, or Megan Kohler, people that you've heard over the years, at least over the past several months with the campaign trail. It's a tell it like it is network, you know, because that's what you've grown accustomed to. This is what you're interested in, what you resonate with. And I know that because we hear and see what you guys say on these chats and all of the emails that we get at the network. So, yeah, so thanks for watching. Glad you're with us as we get ready to see Karoline Leavitt live from the White House press briefing room in about 20 minutes or so. Let's go again one more time to the information from President Trump on Truth Social, and then we'll go over some of the accomplishments that we've seen in the first 10 weeks from President Trump. First, let's go to Truth Social. I did read the latest post from the president in regards to his recent phone call with the president of Egypt, talking about that the call went very well, and they discussed many topics, including the military progress that we have made, he says here, against the ship-destroying Houthis in Yemen. Also discussed was Gaza and possible solutions, military preparedness, etc. He also talked about on Truth Social in Wisconsin and in Florida today. Of course, today's the day to vote for a number of things there. 2 House seats and a Supreme Court seat in Wisconsin. So the people of Wisconsin and Florida going to the polls today to take care of business with their vote. So looking forward to seeing the outcome of those results. President Trump also posting an article from Nick Adams, his Substack. Nick Adams saying, quote, "Trump is a combination of Reagan and Churchill, only better," end quote. And, we've heard it said before, that President Trump is the George Washington and Thomas Jefferson of our time, and I agree with that 100%. And I think that you do too. A lot of you do as well. And it's interesting to see all of the coverage that we have here at the network, including in about 19 minutes from now, that press briefing, because we see that Karoline Leavitt just really takes the truth to the American people. And that's right in the face of people that are not on the side of common sense and truth in America, many of them in there. But maybe one day one of these fake news reporters will just become, aware of truth and shift over. I don't know if they would have a job anymore at that fake news network, but hey, one mind and heart at a time, I guess, as we continue on here. Now let's go to Kolschi.com, one of our great sponsors as well. So who will win the Wisconsin Supreme Court seat? Brad Schimmel, the Republican there. These are people that are all around the country right now talking. Kolschi.com/RSBN. You can really ask any question on Kolschi and start trading and betting on it. And if you go to Kolschi.com, you can actually scroll through and see a number of questions that you can take part in if you'd like. So the one today is who will win the Wisconsin Supreme Court seat? Of course, we'll see what the outcome is in the Badger State. Also, of course, some voting going on in Florida as well. All right, so we're looking at 11:43. Of course, looking forward to today's press briefing with Karoline Leavitt at the White House. So let's scroll through a number of the accomplishments that we've seen in the past 10 weeks of President Trump's second term. Let's go with the Department of Interior dispersed $350 million in energy revenues from the Gulf of America to oil and gas producing states, including Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas. The Department of Interior announced nearly $40 million in total receipts from its first oil and gas lease sales of the year. Let's scroll down to the Department of Health and Human Services. Axed $300 million in grants to California related to radical gender ideology and DEI. The Department of HHS formally warned California for allowing graphic sex education, including about sex toys and role plays, to be taught to children as young as 10 years old. The Department of Education revoked waivers that allowed certain colleges to divert federal funds intended for low-income students and students with disabilities to illegal immigrants. Let's scroll to the Environmental Protection Agency. Announced it successfully completed its mission assignment in western North Carolina following Hurricane Helene. The Office of Management and Budget cut a wasteful $3 billion Biden-era slush fund. So if you go on and watch or read all of these accomplishments over the past 70 days or so with President Trump, there are just so many different accomplishments, as you guys see there. One of the ones that are at the top of the list, President Trump's efforts to secure the homeland continued in force. The Trump administration directed the successful apprehension of a key MS-13 gang leader, an illegal immigrant living in Virginia and operating as one of the top 3 MS-13 leaders in the United States. On top of that, ICE arrested 370 plus illegal immigrants as part of a major operation in Massachusetts. So it's all systems go right now. The only position that we don't have fulfilled is who the United States ambassador to the United Nations will be. So we'll see who the president selects from there. He had Elise Stefanik, but of course was saying the other day that Elise, as a congresswoman from New York, is actually something that would be a better fit right now because we need to have as many Republicans in Congress as possible. So now looking for a U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. He already has a list. He listed off a few people yesterday, including Rick Grinnell and others. So we'll see who he picks. We'll bring that to you as we get it here at the network. So a programming note for today. We know that in about 15 minutes, we'll hear from the White House Press Secretary, Karoline Leavitt, who is an absolute superstar, rock star for We the People. She's up there against a number of the fake news, and she's able to take care of business for the country. And it's great to see conservative media and new media there as well. And then a bit later, at 1 o'clock, we're looking at a speech from First Lady Melania Trump. Will deliver remarks at the 19th International Women of Courage Awards ceremony. And we're told that's going to be over at the U.S. Department of State. So that's at about 1 o'clock. So it looks as if we'll have the press briefing that will happen at 12 Eastern. And then an hour later, at about 1 o'clock, the First Lady will speak at the International Women of Courage Awards. About 3 o'clock Eastern, President Trump will be signing executive orders at the White House. If that's a live feed, we'll take you there live. If it's a recorded playback, we will upload that to various channels here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and you'll be able to take a look at what he's signing. Yesterday, quite awesome, you saw Kid Rock there to the right of the president signing an executive order about all those extra fees that we see on various sites for tickets to concerts and games and events. President Trump working on taking care of lowering those prices, but also the fact of bots. You know, Kid Rock was talking about these bots that purchase tickets at a low price and then resell them for 3, 4, 5 times the amount. So we'll see what happens there with that, because you know, if you look at tickets for a lot of events and you see what the fees are, holy smokes, the fees are, in some cases, if it's, you know, a ticket that's maybe, you know, $400, that's a lot of money, but the fees are like $170. Or if you even look at a ticket that's maybe $90, the fees are $22. So where are these, what's up with these fees? You know, and also, where's all the money going? Is it going to the artist? Is it going to the venue? Is it going to the sports team? So all of that signed yesterday in an executive order. So for more details on that, of course, you could always go to, you know, whitehouse.gov, and also you could always check it out in various articles right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Again, Kid Rock there yesterday. If you missed any of that coverage, you can always replay that as Robert McNeely was bringing us live coverage for that just yesterday. So there you go. You see the White House press briefing room there, the press sitting down at this point, meaning we may be soon to the start of that presser. Also, will Karoline Leavitt make an announcement today in regards to this Axios report that they say they're hearing that the White House is going to change some of the seating at the White House press briefing room? So that means, you know, that first row of the establishment press, ABC and all these fake news companies that are usually in the front, well, it looks like they may be mixing it up a bit and having everyone kind of sit in different spots. So will she make that announcement today? I have no idea. I just know I saw a report from Axios. So we have not confirmed that yet with the White House. So we'll see if that happens today with any kind of announcement about that. But at the end of the day, you see Karoline Leavitt outside even the White House sometimes, and some reporters asking questions that are really ridiculous, almost coming to the defense of people that are MS-13 connected. And just yesterday, Karoline Leavitt had to go back and forth with a reporter, going all out about this, you know, certain MS-13 gang member. Why would you defend someone that has and is convicted of, with receipts, with proof, with evidence of actual crimes against humanity, right, against people? So those are the kind of things that must be frustrating for Karoline Leavitt. I don't know. I haven't asked her that specific question. We have interviewed Karoline here at the network a lot on the campaign trail, but man, when you deal with it day in and day out, no wonder if it comes to pass that these seating charts are going to get changed around. That's a good thing, because we want to have people in that room right there that represent us, we the people. And so just like the other day when Robert McNeely was on Air Force One with President Trump, as we were one of the teams to be able to travel with the president to Florida, to ask questions to the president, to be represented in conservative media and new media, because that is what all of us, most of you that are watching right now, if you're on the right side of history and voted for President Trump, you know, that's what we want. We want people that represent us and will ask the questions that matter to Americans, not these fake questions that they act like that they're representing the American people. They aren't, we know that, and that's just the facts. So again, if we were in that press briefing room, we'd have to have respect for, you know, professional working environment, great, but the content though is different. The content is either truthful and on point and common sense, or it's false and lies. So that's what's great about Karoline Leavitt. She's able to handle these the press as a pro, and some of these people have been doing this in that press briefing room for decades. A lot of experience in that press briefing room, but doesn't mean their experience is on the right side of history. Colonial Metals Group is a great sponsor here at the network. So let's go to that right now, as we can go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN for more information on gold and silver backup plan when it comes to your savings or maybe your retirement. Having it in gold and silver, a great option. You can learn all about that by going to freegoldguide.com/RSBN, or you can go to the QR code on your screen. Also, freetrumpbook.com. You can go to freetrumpbook.com. Take a look at all the topics that are there. There's at least 20 topics that we've seen here at the network. And we actually have a number of the books as well. We have a number of the products as well, like My Pillow products and Republican Red and all of them. But it's great to see the different topics with freetrumpbook.com. So go ahead and check it out. A great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, 8 minutes out from the press briefing there. I believe this will be right on time today. As we know, in about an hour from now will be the First Lady Melania Trump speaking at the State Department for an event there with the 19th International Women of Courage Awards ceremony. So it'll be great to see Karoline Leavitt and Melania Trump. And then later, President Trump will be signing executive orders at about 3 o'clock from the White House. So on top of all that, again, tomorrow is Liberation Day in America. We just received word here at the network that there will be a Make America Wealthy Again remarks given by President Trump from the White House Rose Garden, the first speech at the Rose Garden in his second administration. And it'll be, I believe, in the 60s or 70s tomorrow at last check. I know I checked a little bit earlier, but let me double check that. In Washington, D.C. Tomorrow it'll be 62 for a high. Today, sunny at 62 there in Washington. And then on Thursday, 79 for a high. Quite warm for Washington, D.C. Coming up here in a few days. But also we'll have wall-to-wall coverage for the Make America Wealthy Again coverage tomorrow right here on RSBN Live. So go ahead and please let your friends and family know. As you know, a lot of people that we get emails from or messages from say, I used to watch mainstream media, but now I watch Right Side Broadcasting Network. And you guys actually helped me understand that what they were saying on the left is such a lie and so false. And so it's viewers like you that are building this network, because we're doing this all together, all of us together on the right side of history. And it's great to work alongside people like Robert McNeely, Christina Loren, Ashley Brassfield, Megan Kohler, and all the people here at the network that are really based in truth and based in common sense. So we'll be bringing all of that live coverage to you today, of course, and then also tomorrow for that Make America Wealthy Again here on Right Side. All right, so we went to a clip earlier of the House Judiciary Joint Subcommittee hearing titled Judicial Overreach and Constitutional Limits on the Federal Courts. If you'd like to see any more of that, there's a website for the House Judiciary Joint Subcommittee, and there's a part there where Jim Jordan is just speaking straight up truth, and it's great to hear that. As well as, you know, it's great to see so many different people like Eli Crane out of Arizona, or MTG out of Georgia, or obviously President Trump and the whole team, the Vice President J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, and RFK, the Secretary of HHS, and Kristi Noem with DHS, and the Border Czar Tom Homan. Everybody just on point for all of us. That's what this is all about. I'm so glad that we have representatives that are actually working for we, the people. I could stop talking there. I'm only talking right now because it is a preview show of the press briefing. But really, though, I mean, that's really what it's all about. And isn't it great to be able to have a little bit more freedom, a lot more freedom than what we had under the past administration? We can create, we can believe for great things, we can go to a new level in anything in life, we can have more wealth or more health or more safety, security, more of our constitutional rights intact. So that sometimes obviously it takes progress or takes next steps for us to get from this level to that level in business or whatever it is. But at least we have the ability right now that we have a pro-America approach with President Trump and the team, and a pro-economy that is for this country, or we're for the economy increasing and doing great and thriving. So very interested to see this Make America Wealthy Again event tomorrow from the White House Rose Garden. I will have that again, live coverage wall to wall right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. And on top of that, anytime there's breaking news or any kind of information that we can share with you, we'll either share with you that information right here on the channel, or we can always go on Truth Social, X, our app, our website, and share that information with you as well. So for those of you watching on Facebook right now, and X, and Getter, and Truth Social, and YouTube, thank you so much for watching on those different platforms. But we also really want to thank a number of people watching on Rumble as well, as Rumble, that great streaming site, doing awesome and growing by leaps and bounds throughout this country. So, and any other place that you're watching right now, thank you so much for streaming in. Let's go live right now just for a few seconds. Let's just listen in to the press briefing room, and then we'll come back in about 20 seconds. Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. As it's 11:58 Eastern Time, you're looking live at the press briefing room. Breaking news, the DOJ to seek the death penalty for alleged CEO killer Luigi Mangione. That, according to Breaking 911 17 minutes ago. The report we're seeing here says today, Attorney General Pamela Bondi released the following statement. Luigi Mangione's murder of Brian Thompson, an innocent man and father of 2 young children, was premeditated, cold-blooded assassination that shocked America. After careful consideration, I have directed federal prosecutors to seek the death penalty in this case as we carry out President Trump's agenda to stop violent crime and make America safe again. So again, the report we're seeing from Breaking 911, the DOJ to seek death penalty for alleged CEO killer Luigi Mangione. I'm going to go to the DOJ as well here on X in just a second. I want to read a couple reports that I'm seeing as well. That MyPillow CEO, of course, Mike Lindell, is reportedly considering a run for governor of Minnesota in 2026, aiming to unseat Tim Walz. That, according to leading report. And also, you've heard quite a number of times here, Robert McNeely talking about it would be great to see Mike Lindell as the governor of Minnesota. So we'll see if that happens. Let me go to the DOJ real quick. I want to confirm that report there from the Breaking 911 that Luigi Mangione was facing the death penalty. So let me go to that DOJ report here and just double check on the facts. Now, sometimes when we're live like this, of course, it's a fluid situation. We're checking sources, and so I'm doing that right now on the fly here. So I see the U.S. Department of Justice, and this is confirmed. 42 minutes ago, the U.S. Department of Justice on their actual X-confirmed government site says, Attorney General Pamela Bondi directs prosecutors to seek death penalty for Luigi Mangione. That is breaking news right now here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Okay, so that is confirmed as we follow various stories that are happening including what will take place here at this White House press briefing that'll happen in just a few minutes, as it is now high noon, 12 o'clock Eastern Time on this first day of April 2025. Hopefully your March went well. Hopefully April is even better, and hopefully every month continues to be better and better, as we heard with President Trump back in the day, referring to that Frank Sinatra song, "The best is yet to come." Well, we're believing for that for not only our nation, but for each of us individually as we continue to go to new levels in whatever way that is in our lives, maybe in business or in various other ways. So, all right, so Karoline Leavitt, again, holding that press conference there. Any minute now, we see all of the press seated. Again, very curious to see if she will make an announcement about a new seating chart in the press briefing room. That, again, is not a source that I have from the White House. This is simply an Axios report that says this is something that the White House has been discussing. So we'll see if that is true. That might not be an announcement they're making today. It might be in the future, or it might not happen at all. But again, I'm just reporting what I've heard from one of the news sites out there. But still, if that's true, it would go right along with what the White House is up to when it comes to truth and transparency for the American people from that podium right there in the West Wing of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. So for those of you joining us right now, thank you so much for streaming in. We'll go right there to DC as soon as we see the press secretary take the podium. We'll go there and give you the live feed here from start to finish from Washington, D.C. Again, just a couple programming notes. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock from the White House Rose Garden, President Trump to hold an event, a Make America Wealthy Again event. That is the Liberation Day announcement, I believe, at that point, for all of the details of how our country will be made wealthy again. So we know that with President William McKinley back in the day, he used a lot of tariffs and brought a lot of wealth to this nation. Well, President Trump and William McKinley on the same page when it comes to those type of things. And so also the Department of Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, also a brilliant mind when it comes to business and tariffs and trade. And he is right there with President Trump. So I believe that Howard Lutnick will be at that event tomorrow, along with anybody else that has to do with the economy and just really moving on to a new level here in our country. So once again, I'm Matthew Alvarez here at 12:03 Tuesday, April 1st. Looking forward to the press conference here at any minute from Washington, D.C. While I'll stop talking here for just a second, I'm going to look at some of President Trump's Truth Social posts, and at any minute, we'll go there to the press briefing room. Okay, so a post just about, let's see, at 11:40 a.m., so about 24 minutes ago, President Trump posting the following: Senator Tim Kaine, who ran against me with Crooked Hillary in 2016, is trying to halt our critical tariffs on deadly fentanyl coming in from Canada. We are making progress to end this terrible fentanyl crisis, but Republicans in the Senate must vote to keep the national emergency in place so we can finish the job and end the scourge. By their weakness, the Democrats have allowed fentanyl to get out of hand. The Republicans and I have reversed that course strongly and quickly. Major additional progress is being made. Don't let the Democrats have a victory. It would be devastating for the Republican Party and, far more importantly, for the United States. And in all caps, President Trump says, "Make America Great Again." That was at 11:40 Eastern Time, President Trump posting that. He also posted 42 minutes ago, my telephone call with President El-Sisi of Egypt went very well. We discussed numerous topics, among which was the tremendous military progress we have made against the ship-destroying Houthis in Yemen. Also discussed was Gaza and possible solutions, military preparedness, etc. So President Trump, quite active on Truth Social as he is, when he's not, on camera like yesterday for that executive order signing, but, spitting truth constantly on Truth Social. So awesome to see that. Also, for those of you in Wisconsin today voting, President Trump about 2 hours ago said there is a very important referendum. It's question 1 on the ballot to amend the state constitution to require voter ID. This and other election integrity measures, including banning drop boxes and same-day voting with paper ballots, can only happen if you get out and vote today. So also for state Supreme Court, make sure to vote for America First patriot Brad Schimmel against Susan Crawford, a radical left liberal with a history of letting child molesters and rapists off easy. She will be on, she will be on the most liberal judges ever elected, which she will be one of the most liberal judges ever elected, which would be a disaster for Wisconsin and the United States of America. So important. Please get out and vote yes on question 1 and vote for Brad Schimmel to the Supreme Court. Make America great again. President Trump talking about that. And then if we shift over to Florida, Jimmy Petronis, Chief Financial Officer and Fire Marshal for the great state of Florida, is running an incredible campaign for Congress in Florida's 1st Congressional District. A 4th-generation Floridian from the beautiful Panhandle and owner of an iconic seafood restaurant, Jimmy has been a wonderful friend to me and to MAGA. As your next congressman, Jimmy will fight hard alongside of me to grow our economy, cut taxes, secure our borders, stop migrant crime, and strengthen our military. So also restore energy dominance and to defend our always under siege Second Amendment. The reason why I stumbled a little bit there, as you look at the Truth Social post, it says show more. You got to click that, and then the whole thing gets a lot more complicated to read the whole thing as you're doing it live on TV. But anyway, there is the press briefing. We're seeing the people walk out of the White House, the West Wing of the White House there, into the press briefing room. So as soon as we see Karoline Leavitt, we'll go there live. It looks like this will start any second from now. As I continue here, America First patriot Randy Fine is running to represent the wonderful people of Florida's 6th Congressional District. So that also information there from President Trump on Truth Social about the elections happening in Florida and Wisconsin today. Also, will we see an announcement about a seating chart, musical chair situation there from the White House press briefing room? Who knows? But Axios is reporting that there may be some seating changes that are happening in the press briefing room for future press conferences. We'll see if that announcement is made today. Again, that's a very big thing to press, right? It's when you sit in those front couple rows, it's those big networks, big networks. How about big fake news networks? So anyway, but still, again, being a professional and being a colleague, if people are in the room and they don't believe the same thing there's some conservative media and some new media, you still work alongside people. We did the same thing at the rallies time and time again. When President Trump would be speaking, we'd be standing next to a number of the so-called fake news. We'd still say hello and all that kind of thing, but the content coming out of their mouth versus ours, night and day, as you guys know. So looking forward to seeing the press conference start here at 12:09 Eastern Time. President Trump quite active again on Truth Social as well. So we'll be checking out some more of those posts as we get them. Again, a couple programming notes as we stand by for this press conference. We do know that the First Lady, Melania Trump, will deliver remarks at the 19th International Women of Courage Awards ceremony. That will be at the U.S. Department of State. That's at 1 o'clock, so in about 51 minutes from now. 3 o'clock, President Trump signs more executive orders from the White House. And then again, tomorrow, Liberation Day, at 4 o'clock from the White House Rose Garden, President Trump will hold a Make America Wealthy Again event. So a big news day today, big news day tomorrow. There's the door. Let's go to Washington, D.C.
Good afternoon. How are we? Great. Good. Good to see you all. I want to start today by addressing the U.S. Army soldiers who went missing while conducting a mission to repair and tow in a mobilized tactical vehicle in Lithuania in the early hours of March 25th. Tragically, 3 soldiers were found deceased in Lithuania yesterday, and it pains me to confirm that today the 4th soldier was also found deceased. The President, the Secretary of Defense, and the entire White House are praying for the victims' friends and family during this unimaginable time. This is another stark reminder of the selfless sacrifice of our brave military men and women who risk their lives around the world every day to keep us safe. God bless them. On another note, at our southern border, there is more massive news. Southwest border crossings in March fell to the lowest level in American history, down 94% from March of last year under President Biden, when 137,000 illegal aliens poured across our wide-open southern border. Thanks to President Trump's leadership, Border Patrol agents are now back to doing the jobs they signed up for, securing the border, rather than serving as travel agents for illegal aliens. The Los Angeles Times captured the Trump effect on the border with a recent article. Their headline read, "California-Mexico border, once overwhelmed, is now nearly empty." With so few migrants coming into the U.S., they wrote, "Shelters that once served migrants have completely closed." Deportations of illegal aliens who threaten the safety of the American people are also continuing at a rapid pace. Over the weekend, the United States military transferred a group of 17 violent criminals from the Tren de Aragua and MS-13 terrorist organizations to El Salvador. And an illegal alien who was released by the Biden administration into our country was just arrested in Georgia and charged with the horrific killing of Camelia Williams, a mother of 5 and grandmother. The suspect has now been indicted on charges of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, rape, aggravated sexual battery, and necrophilia, which, for those who don't know, necrophilia is a sexual obsession with a corpse. This suspect was ordered to be removed in July 2023, but the Biden administration allowed him to stay. This case represents the ruthless murderers, rapists, and pedophiles who Joe Biden and Democrats let into our country over the past 4 years through our southern border. They should have never been here in the first place. Keep this in mind the next time you see Democrats protesting future illegal alien removals from our country. President Trump is focused on fulfilling his greatest obligation, to keep the American people safe and to defend our country from violent invaders. Looking ahead to tomorrow, April 2nd, 2025, will go down as one of the most important days in modern American history. Our country has been one of the most open economies in the world, and we have the consumer base hands down, the best consumer base. But too many foreign countries have their markets closed to our exports. This is fundamentally unfair. The lack of reciprocity contributes to our large and persistent annual trade deficit that's gutted our industries and hollowed out key workforces. But those days of America, beginning tomorrow, being ripped off are over. American workers and businesses will be put first under President Trump, just as he promised on the campaign trail. The President's historic action tomorrow will improve American competitiveness in every area of industry, reduce our massive trade deficits, and ultimately protect our economic and national security. President Trump's economic vision is rooted in common sense. America will offer companies the lowest taxes, energy costs, regulations, if they make their products right here in the United States and hire American workers for the job. It's simple. If you make your product in America, you will pay no tariffs. We have already seen a number of the largest companies in the world respond to this economic approach. For example, Project Stargate, led by Japan-based SoftBank and US-based OpenAI and Oracle, announced a $500 billion private investment in the United States-based artificial intelligence infrastructure. Apple announced a $500 billion investment in U.S. manufacturing and training. NVIDIA announced it will invest hundreds of billions of dollars over the next 4 years in U.S.-based manufacturing. And the Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing company TSMC announced a $100 billion investment in U.S.-based chips and manufacturing. These are just a few of the investment announcements that have already been made, and it is clear that President Trump's America First approach is already working. In our new media seat today is Mark Halperin, the co-founder and editor-in-chief of Two Way, a new live video platform that builds communities around interactive conversations with leaders and content creators from every subject area. Mark and his colleagues welcome all voices into discussions that are spirited but respectful. They have over 37.5 million video views, over 3.6 million watch time hours since the platform began just last year. This is new media in its truest sense, allowing the people to ask questions, make comments, and be an active part of engagement on the most important issues facing the country and our world. With that, Mark, please kick us off and welcome to the briefing room.
Thank you, Karoline. Appreciate it. I'll ask you a question about tariffs and then one from one members of our community about education. It's perceived by some that companies or countries, if they change their policies either before tomorrow or after tomorrow, can have the president alter what he's planning for that country or that sector. Is that a possibility? And if so, what factors the president consider in making those changes?
Well, the ultimate change for these companies and these countries, Mark, will happen when they decide to do business in the United States of America. And as I just laid out, they will face no tariffs at all if these companies choose to invest here in the United States and to move their production and their manufacturing here to the United States as well. As for tomorrow, the president will be addressing the decades of unfair trade practices that have ripped our country off and American workers off. It has hollowed out our middle class. It has destroyed our heartland, and the president is focused on reshifting our global economy to ensure that America is once again the manufacturing superpower of the world.
So if they do something today or later in the week that's a pledge for future activity, would that be good enough potentially to alter the policy?
Again, the president has been looking at the very unfair trade practices of the past. Certainly, the president is always up to take a phone call, always up for a good negotiation, but he is very much focused on fixing the wrongs of the past and ensuring that American workers have a fair shake.
So if someone calls after tomorrow and says, hey, I'm ready to make a change, he'd be open to that?
The president is always open to taking calls.
Okay. A question from one of our community members. Katie Reeves is a school teacher in Wisconsin. She's taught K-8 in public, independent, private, and private schools. And here's what she wanted me to ask you. She says, I see the elimination of the Department of Education as an excellent first step in the improvement of our school system. Do you see any further role the federal government can take beyond this, possibly in promoting the expansion of voucher programs or reducing the influence that teachers' unions hold over our schools?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I want to thank Katie for her service to our country and our nation's children. Being a teacher is the most noble profession that we believe one can have. And the president said in his remarks when he signed the executive order to dismantle the Department of Education that he loves our teachers. And in part, this order is to empower our teachers to have greater decision making in the classroom. Nobody knows our nation's children and our students better than our teachers who are with them every single day. As for the federal government's role, to get to the heart of Katie's question, the president has made it clear to Linda McMahon that we need to find other places within our federal government for critical programs regarding education. Pell Grants, Title IX, lawsuits, etc., civil rights lawsuits, all of that are critical functions, special needs programs, nutrition programs, but there are other places throughout the federal bureaucracy where those things can happen and work. The Department of Education has been a very bloated bureaucracy. We spent trillions of dollars on this department, and for what? Our children are worse off as far as education goes today than they were when this department originated, and that's very concerning to the president. So,
the two issues she cited, are those priorities for the president? School education choice, vouchers, and diminishing the role of teachers' unions.
The president is very supportive of both of those things, particularly when it comes to school choice. He has said that school choice is the civil rights issue of our time, and he wants every child, regardless of zip code, socioeconomic status, how much money their parents have, to be able to go to the school of their choosing that best suits their educational needs. And he is going to empower state and local leaders to make those decisions on behalf of our nation's children. Thanks for being here, Mark. Jeff.
Just changing subjects for 1 second. The administration has expressed a complete confidence in how all the deportation flights to El Salvador were conducted. But now that the administration has conceded that there was an error of one Salvadoran national, will there be any reviews conducted? And does the president express any thoughts on the one error that was disclosed in court last night?
Well, first of all, the error that you are referring to was a clerical error. It was an administrative error. The administration maintains the position that this individual who was deported to El Salvador and will not be returning to our country was a member of the brutal and vicious MS-13 gang. That is fact number one. Fact number two, we also have credible intelligence proving that this individual was involved in human trafficking. And fact number three, this individual was a member, actually a leader, of the brutal MS-13 gang, which this president has designated as a foreign terrorist organization. Fact number four is that foreign terrorists do not have legal protections in the United States of America anymore, and it is within the president's executive authority and power to deport these heinous individuals from American communities. It is a promise he campaigned on. It is a promise he is keeping. And every single person in this room should be grateful for that, considering especially MS-13 is very prevalent and prominent here in the District of Columbia, in Maryland, and in Virginia. And the President, the Attorney General, everyone who has been involved in these operations is focused on eradicating these criminals and terrorists from our communities.
The Vice President said he was a convicted member of MS-13. What evidence is there to back that up?
There's a lot of evidence, and the Department of Homeland Security and ICE have that evidence, and I saw it this morning. Steve.
Has the President fully made up his mind on the level of tariffs to impose tomorrow? We keep hearing about a 20% flat rate.
The President said last night he has made a decision and a determination. I was with him in the Oval Office earlier, and he is going to announce that decision tomorrow. I don't want to get ahead of the President. This is obviously a very big day. He's with his trade and tariff team right now, perfecting it to make sure this is a perfect deal for the American people and the American worker, and you will all find out in about 24 hours from now.
And are the car tariffs going to go into effect on April 3rd as scheduled?
Correct. Yes, they will.
Okay. And last thing, would you like to respond to the Chinese military drills around Taiwan?
Yes, I would. As a matter of fact, the National Security Council briefed me on this morning, and they said that the President is emphasizing the importance of maintaining peace in the Taiwan Strait, encouraging the peaceful resolution of these cross-strait issues, reiterating our opposition to any unilateral attempts to change the status quo by force or coercion. That is directly from the National Security Advisor. Just for you, Steve Holland of Reuters. Monica.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Elon Musk this week revealed that Doge found that the Biden administration issued over 2 million Social Security numbers to illegal aliens, found 20 million dead people marked as alive in the Social Security system. Has the White House confirmed these numbers with Elon, and is the White House looking into correcting this?
I'm not sure about those specific numbers that Mr. Musk cited. I can tell you what the Social Security Administration has said themselves, according to an Inspector General's report that was conducted last year, showing there was nearly $80 billion worth of fraud in this program. We know for a fact there are individuals who should not be receiving benefits on the Social Security rolls, and this administration is focused on cleaning out the waste, fraud, and abuse in every agency, but particularly in Social Security, to make it stronger for our tax-paying, law-abiding citizens who deserve these entitlements and programs. Because you did bring up Doge, I do want to tout the incredible efforts that have been made at the Environmental Protection Agency, and Administrator Lee Zeldin is just doing a tremendous job. Just yesterday and today it will be going into effect. He announced that taxpayers will be saved $8 million in annual lease costs by moving staff out of the 323,000 square feet of space that the EPA currently occupies, which is completely unnecessary. Yesterday, Administrator Zeldin also announced he will be shutting down a museum that the Biden administration built to tell a selective story about the EPA's history and climate change. It was a real pat on the back to President Biden. And guess how much American taxpayers paid for it? $4 million for this museum that I think only 1,000 visitors saw last year alone, and it will cost American taxpayers $600,000 per year to operate this museum. Well, it's not going to exist anymore. We're going to save taxpayers those critical funds, and Administrator Zeldin is very proud to announce that. And just at EPA alone, and the cuts that they have made, they've saved taxpayers more than $22 billion in wasteful grants and spending. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. When the president goes down to Florida on the weekends, does he ever hear from, there are so many retired folks down in Florida, does he ever hear from any retired Americans who are stressed about these wild swings in the stock market because of the tariff uncertainty, and they're sitting there on fixed income or living off a 401k, and they don't know how much money's going to be left?
Well, certainly they are legitimate concerns, and the president takes those concerns very seriously, and he's addressing them every single day. And tomorrow's announcement is to protect future generations of the senior citizens you mentioned. It's for their kids and their grandkids to ensure that there are jobs here in the United States of America for their children to live the American dream, just like they presumably did. And as for their worries about their 401ks, their Social Security, I just addressed Social Security. This president is always going to protect it for our tax-paying senior citizens. As for their 401ks, look at what President Trump did for you in his first term. He is working on implementing that economic formula every single day by lowering inflation, lowering energy prices, massive deregulatory efforts, while simultaneously effectively implementing tariffs. And they'll hear more about that announcement tomorrow.
And you said that the president right now is with the trade and tariff team. They are very confident that this is all going to work. But what if
Yes.
they're wrong?
They're not going to be wrong. It is going to work. And the president has a brilliant team of advisors who have been studying these issues for decades. We are focused on restoring the golden age of America and making America a manufacturing superpower. And again, Peter, I would point you to the investments that have already trickled into this country. And the president hasn't even made his tariff announcement yet tomorrow. There have been billions of dollars in private investments from around the world pouring into American communities. What does that look like for those watching at home, for the people you mentioned, worried about their own economic circumstances? It means more jobs in your communities, which means more money, more investments, more money in your pocket. That's what the president is committed to. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the president's commitment to tax cuts, which we are counting on Congress to do, especially on Social Security.
And one more.
Sure.
Are the special elections today a referendum on the president?
I think first of all, as you know, I'm a government employee now, so I'm not very much allowed to comment on elections that are taking place. That's something to get used to, having just been on the campaign trail for quite some time. But the president is the leader of the America First movement and the MAGA movement. And that was made very clear on November the 5th when he received nearly 80 million votes. I could also say that it is the constitutional right of every law-abiding American in these places where these elections are being held to vote, and every American should exercise their constitutional rights. Sure.
Thanks, Karoline. A few questions about this deportation case. First, I wanted to clarify something that you said to Jeff a few minutes ago. You said you'd seen evidence that this man was a convicted gang member. In what court was he convicted and for what?
This individual was an MS-13 ringleader. This individual was also engaged in human trafficking. And I'm glad you brought up this point again, because I would like to point out that if you just saw the headline from the insane, failing Atlantic magazine this morning, you would think this individual was Father of the Year, living in Maryland, living a peaceful life, when that couldn't be further from the truth. They didn't even mention in the title of that article, or even in the first paragraph, that this individual is an illegal criminal who broke our nation's immigration laws. He is a leader in the brutal MS-13 gang, and he is involved in human trafficking, and now MS-13 is a designated foreign terrorist organization. Foreign terrorists have no legal protections in the United States of America, and this administration is going to continue to deport foreign terrorists and illegal criminals from our nation's interior.
But a judge ordered that he should remain in this country. So are you saying that it is okay to ignore a judge's ruling if you don't like it?
Who does that judge work for?
He's an immigration
It was an
judge.
immigration judge who works for the Department of Justice at the direction of the Attorney General of the United States, whose name is Pam Bondi, who has committed to eradicating MS-13 from our nation's interior. And let me tell you why we've made this commitment. MS-13, may I remind each and every one of you, is a brutal and vicious gang. They raped and strangled a 20-year-old autistic woman to death in Maryland. They hacked 4 people to death with machetes in a park on Long Island. They have kidnapped, sexually tortured, and shot a teenage girl in Texas after she insulted them, allegedly. Killed and mutilated a 17-year-old girl in Virginia, stabbing him 16 times and cutting off his hands. They beheaded and cut out the heart of a man in Washington, D.C., They raped and murdered a 13-year-old girl in California. They sex trafficked a slew of young girls, including one who was just 12 years old. Raped an 11-year-old girl in Brooklyn while her brother was in the room. Sex trafficked a 13-year-old in Maryland and Virginia, miles away from this White House, even beating her 26 times on her backside with a baseball bat. Pressured homeless New Yorkers to undergo unnecessary surgeries such as spinal fusion in order to bolster their fraudulent lawsuits. These are vicious criminals. This is a vicious gang. And I wish that the media would spend just a second of the same time you have spent trying to litigate each and every individual of this gang who has been deported from our country as the innocent Americans whose lives have been lost at the hands of these brutal criminals. We maintain our position, and very strongly so. Jennifer.
One more on the tariffs. Can you say what the latest thinking is on the start date? I know you were just in the Oval. Are they all going to take effect this week on the reciprocal tariffs? And whenever they start, is that enough time for companies and everyone involved to adjust to that start date?
My understanding is that the tariff announcement will come tomorrow. They will be effective immediately. And the president has been teasing this for quite some time, as you know. He's talked a lot about April 2nd as Liberation Day in America. It would be taking place today if not for April Fool's Day. But tomorrow will be the day, and he's been talking about it for a while. And as a result, you've seen these companies make commitments to investing right here in the United States. Jasmine.
Thank you so much. I wonder, back on tariffs, what, if any, market indicators is the White House looking for to see if this tariffs plan is successful down the line?
Well, look, the president has been asked and answered this question about the stock market and whether he's watching it. And I've said, and he has said, the market is a snapshot in time. Yesterday, Dow futures were up. And there's been a lot of talk about the market, and it was up yesterday. So, look, the president wants to ensure that all Americans make out well, particularly Main Street. That's the focus of these tariffs. But as I've said repeatedly, just like they were in his first term, Wall Street will be just fine. Shelby.
Thanks. A bipartisan pair of senators sent a letter to the president today arguing that the recent strikes in Yemen are emboldening the Houthis and saying that Congress has not authorized war against them. Is the administration planning to consult with Congress at some point or going forward regarding the strikes, and any response on the letter?
Well, I would absolutely reject Congress's claims. Who made those claims in Congress?
Senator Jeff Merkley and Rand Paul.
Okay, well, I would absolutely reject those claims. These Houthi strikes have been incredibly successful. Last time I was at this podium, there were more than 100 successful strikes. There have now been over 200 successful strikes against the Houthis. Iran is incredibly weakened as a result of these attacks, and we have seen they've taken out Houthi leaders. They've taken out critical members who were launching strikes on naval ships and on commercial vessels, and this operation will not stop until the freedom of navigation in this region is restored, which is a critical principle. And this president stands behind our Defense Department, who's doing a tremendous job.
Is the White House going to confer with Congress going forward on this?
I would have to ask our team here at the White House, but the president is well within his authority, as is the Secretary of Defense. Again, these are defensive strikes. The Houthis have been launching attacks on U.S. naval vessels and commercial ships for quite some time. Go ahead.
Karoline,
Yeah.
The pause on the Canadian and Mexican tariffs, the fentanyl tariffs, that's set to expire tomorrow. Is the president considering extending that pause?
Look, I will let the president speak on the specifics of the tariffs tomorrow. But as for fentanyl, we have seen this has certainly caused a national security crisis here in the United States. Fentanyl continues to be the #1 killer of young people in this country, and the president is very much focused on that. Deanna.
Thank you, Caroline. The president recently signed an executive order on making D.C. safe and beautiful. On the campaign trail, he talked about making New York great again. Does he have any plans on establishing a similar task force? Has he been pressuring Governor Hochul in any way in his conversations about New York and lowering crime?
Well, he has been in correspondence with Governor Hochul quite a bit on the issue of crime, also on the issue of congestion pricing, and so many other issues that are facing New Yorkers. And he wants New York to clean up their streets just as he does here in Washington, D.C. He also speaks to Mayor Adams as well. So he's engaged with state and local leaders across the entire country to ensure they're doing their part to help American citizens in each and every state, regardless of if it's a red state or a blue state.
A question on Russia. Yesterday, the Russian government said that their new goal is 160,000 conscripts for the war. Has the president seen that number, and does he have any response given his recent conversations on peace talks?
Well, I can tell you what the president said last night, and that is he is frustrated with leaders on both sides of this war. He wants this war to end. There are men that are dying on both sides, and it's been going on for far too long. Our team continues to be engaged with the Russians as we are with the Ukrainians, and the president continues to be very, very much engaged on this topic every single day.
Caroline?
Sure.
Caroline,
Sure.
The president said over the weekend
that he couldn't care less if prices went up on foreign cars because people buy more American cars. There's been consensus from a lot of economists that these tariffs could raise prices on other goods as well. Is the president comfortable with Americans on Main Street paying more because of these tariffs?
The president is doing everything he can, and this entire administration is doing everything we can to bring down the cost of living in this country. An inflation mess that was fueled by the previous administration's reckless spending, overburdensome regulations that this administration is focused on slashing every single day. I just read you a statistic just from the Environmental Protective Agency alone. We're saving taxpayers money that's ultimately going to drive down inflation, and we're unleashing the might of our energy industry, which will bring down prices as well. To the heart of your question, because this is very important to the American people, you should trust what this president did for you in his first term. He effectively utilized tariffs while driving down inflation. It was a record low 1.4% when he left office, and he's focused on getting back to that. It's unfortunate the previous administration left us in this mess. Sure.
Representative Anna Paulina Luna left the Freedom Caucus over their lack of support for her bill that would allow new parents to proxy vote around 12 weeks around the birth of their baby. Does the president support that bill?
I'm not sure. I haven't actually talked to the president about that bill, but I certainly can and can get a take on if he supports it or not.
Thank you. And one more. The D.C. Circuit ruled last week that the president can fire holdover Biden appointees of independent agencies. Will this ruling empower President Trump to dismiss more federal employees?
Well, the president has given the responsibility to his cabinet secretaries to hire and fire at their respective agencies, and they reserve that right. You saw the Secretary of Health and Human Services announced more layoffs today. This is all part of the administration's effort for a mass reduction in force in the federal bureaucracy here in Washington, D.C. to save American taxpayers money. As for agencies within the president's executive authority, the president retains that right. And we've seen there have been bureaucrats at some of these agencies that have been trying to act independent. They need to remember who they work for. It's the executive of the executive branch. You look at the United States Institute of Peace, for example. There was a little bit of a standoff with bureaucrats over there who didn't want to realize who they work for, and that is Donald Trump. And President Trump is focused on streamlining these agencies to save American taxpayers money, and he has every right to do that.
Caroline.
Sure. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline.
Yeah.
In Gaza, the bodies of 15 rescuers have been found in their sort of ambulances where they were apparently killed by Israeli forces. Just wondering if the White House is going to be calling on Israel to investigate that and to try and avoid similar casualties involving rescue workers in the future.
Well, as for the specific situation you just mentioned, I'll talk to the president about it and our national security team. What I can tell you is what I've spoken with the president on. He very much remains committed to backing Israel, and it was only because of this president and his team's leadership that we had a temporary ceasefire in Gaza, that we were able to bring many hostages home. And the president made it very clear to Hamas, you get the hostages out, all of them, or there will be hell to pay. And Hamas is certainly witnessing what it feels like for all hell to be paid, and the president supports Israel's right to defend itself.
Any progress at all on a ceasefire at the moment, as far as the president's concerned?
The president and his team continue to be engaged on this every single day. Sure.
Caroline.
Go ahead,
So I'm just wondering, related to that, if you have an approximate date for the president's first foreign trip. I think there was a little confusion yesterday about what month he was talking about. And then will he need a ceasefire to be in place or closer, either in Gaza or in Ukraine, before that takes place?
Mm-hmm. The president will be heading to Saudi Arabia in May. As for specific dates and details, we will be reading those out to you as soon as we possibly can. I know our teams are working on the details of that trip. And then again, as for a ceasefire, the president's made it clear that's what he wants to see in Russia and Ukraine, and his team continues to be engaged on it every day. Kelly.
Signal, you said case closed yesterday. Do you, as that case was closed, do you have anything that you can share about what was learned, how this can be avoided in the future, any sort of findings from that investigation?
The case is closed, and the president continues to have confidence in his national security advisor. Yes, Kelly.
Kelly.
Thanks,
Caroline.
So sorry, Ed. Ed, I'll come to you after.
The president
I'm glad you're so eager to ask a question.
It's Liberation Day.
Yes, it is. Caroline, the president has said foreign countries and companies will eat the cost of tariffs. In his speech on Inauguration Day, he said, quote, instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens.
Right.
So then why did he have to tell the domestic automakers not to raise prices?
Well, that was a private conversation that was had. I'm not sure if that comment was made or was not made. But as for what the president said in his Inauguration Day speech, he's absolutely correct. A tariff will be a tax on these foreign nations, these foreign companies, and if they want to be absolved of that tariff, then they can come here to the United States of America to do business, bring their jobs here. Edward, go ahead.
Thank you. So Canadians have been negotiating with the Commerce Secretary over the trade, the tariffs. How many companies are mutually talking with the U.S. or countries are mutually talking with the U.S. to lower tariffs?
I don't have a specific number, but I can tell you there have been quite a few countries that have called the president and have called his team in discussion about these tariffs. But again, there's one country the president cares most about, and it's the United States of America, and doing what's best for the people who elected him to this office to restore their jobs, their wealth, and their prosperity. I'm looking at the clock. I have a hard out today. I have a hard out today because I'm actually heading over to the State Department with the First Lady of the United States. She will be delivering remarks at 1 o'clock this afternoon at the 19th International Women of Courage Award ceremony with our great Secretary of State Marco Rubio. That starts at 1. This is the 5th year Mrs. Trump is participating and standing with brave women leaders who embody American values abroad. And the First Lady in her remarks today will highlight the profound connection between the love and courage that will be shown by this year's honorees. I encourage everybody to tune in at 1 o'clock, and then we'll see you all tomorrow for Liberation Day. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Caroline.
And you'll see that right here at 1 o'clock from the State Department, First Lady Melania Trump to deliver remarks. We'll have that in its entirety starting on a separate stream in just a few minutes once we get that fired up and ready to go. I'll tell you, man, Karoline Leavitt is an absolute rock star, as you guys know. That was quite awesome to see her on just all the facts and all the truth and really just shutting down various ridiculous questions that were asked there. But also, in a 700 Club report, we heard that what she does and the team, they pray right before they go out there to that press conference, and they pray every time right before, and the door opens and she walks out. And I'll tell you, when you pray to God and you're also on the right side of history, what a great combination that is. And that's what we see every time there's a press briefing. So Karoline Leavitt, I believe at this point, most likely the GOAT of press secretaries, just doing an awesome, awesome job. All right, so we're going to go to just a couple things here. Let's go to RSBN Donate. If you'd like to donate to the network, just text RSBN to 801-801. So RSBN to 801-801. All right, so thanks so much for streaming in live with this coverage for the White House press briefing. Our next live stream takes us to the State Department in Washington, D.C. I believe Robert McNeely will be here in studio. He'll be covering a lot of the rest of today's coverage. I'm Matthew Alvarez. For all of us at Right Side, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on that next live stream.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hello, this is Mike Huckabee. President Trump said he wants to take back the White House and teach our kids to love our country. That's why my team created a Kids Guide to President Trump. It'll teach your kids all about President Trump's accomplishments and his vision for America. And right now, I want to give it to you for free as part of this free gift bundle.
Get your free gift bundle featuring The Kid's Guide to President Trump, a free kids magazine, and The Great Again video lesson by visiting freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.